The impulsive gamble. You need to live a little, Liv. Jamie tossed back her pink cocktail, her eyes gleaming with mischief beneath the dim lights of Velvet Lounge. When was the last time you did something completely spontaneous? Olivia Reed adjusted her glasses and sipped her gin and tonic, feeling the pleasant burn of alcohol warming her throat. Her auburn hair was pulled into a loose braid, and she wore her favorite emerald dress, a rare departure from her usual practical attire. I'm spontaneous, Olivia protested weakly. Remember when I changed my coffee order last month? Jamie and their friend Zoe burst into laughter. The trio had gathered to celebrate Zoe's 28th birthday, and 2 hours into the night, inhibitions were beginning to dissolve. Switching from a latte to a cappuccino isn't exactly wild, honey, Zoe said, tapping her freshly manicured nails against her glass. I think you need a proper challenge. Jamie's eyes suddenly widened as she scanned the crowded bar. I have an idea. See that guy over there? She discreetly nodded toward a tall figure standing by the window. I dare you to kiss him. Olivia nearly choked on her drink. You want me to assault a complete stranger? It's not assault if you're charming about it, Zoe chimed in, her eyes dancing with amusement. Think of it as market research. For what market? Olivia asked, but found herself studying the stranger. Even from across the room she could tell he was striking, tall with broad shoulders, dark hair swept back from his face, and an air of quiet confidence as he gazed out at the city lights. The market of living your damn life, Jamie replied. $50 says you won't do it. Something inside Olivia shifted. Perhaps it was the 3 drinks, or maybe the weight of being perpetually predictable, but suddenly the dare didn't seem so outrageous. At 32, her life had become a series of safe choices. Reliable job as a copywriter at Prism Advertising, sensible apartment, even more sensible relationships that inevitably fizzled out before they began. Make it 100, Olivia said, standing up with newfound determination. Her friend's jaws dropped in unison. Are you serious? Zoe whispered. Deadly. Olivia smoothed her dress and took a fortifying sip of her drink. But if I do this, you both have to stop trying to fix my love life for at least 3 months. Deal, they chorused, eyes wide with anticipation. Heart-hammering, Olivia weaved through the crowd. With each step, her courage threatened to abandon her. What was she doing? This wasn't her. She was methodical, thoughtful, not impulsive. The stranger turned just as she reached him, and Olivia's breath caught. His eyes were a deep, arresting blue, curious as they met hers. Up close, she noticed the slight shadow of stubble along his jaw and a small scar above his eyebrow. Hi, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. This is going to sound completely crazy, but... His mouth curved into a slight smile. I like crazy. Good, because... Before she could talk herself out of it, Olivia stepped forward, placed one hand gently on his shoulder, and pressed her lips to his. She'd expected to pull away immediately, a quick peck to win the bet. What she hadn't expected was the electricity that shot through her body, or how naturally his hand found the small of her back, steadying her. For 3 breathless seconds, the busy bar disappeared around them. When she pulled away, his expression was a mixture of surprise and intrigue. That was, he began. A dare, Olivia admitted, her cheeks flushed. I'm sorry. I should have asked first. The stranger laughed, a rich sound that made her stomach flip. Don't apologize. Best thing that's happened to me all week? He extended his hand. No names, Olivia interrupted, suddenly feeling the weight of her impulsivity. Let's just leave it as a moment between strangers. He studied her for a moment, then nodded. A beautiful mystery, then. With a smile she hoped looked enigmatic rather than terrified, Olivia turned and walked back to her friends, her lips still tingling and her heart racing with a mixture of triumph and disbelief at what she'd just done. Behind her, the stranger watched her go, touching his fingers to his lips with a thoughtful expression. Professional collision. Olivia tapped her pen against her notepad, trying to focus on the Monday morning team meeting. Around the conference table, her colleagues at Prism Advertising sipped coffee and discussed the week's agenda, but her mind kept drifting back to Friday night's impulsive kiss. As you all know, we've been searching for the right creative director since Marcus left. Diana, their CEO, announced. "I'm pleased to say the wait is over." The door opened, and Olivia's heart stopped. "Everyone, meet Nico Devereaux, joining us from Apex Creative in Chicago." Standing in the doorway was the stranger from the bar, her stranger, now dressed in a tailored navy suit that accentuated his broad shoulders. Their eyes met, and Olivia saw the flash of recognition, followed by carefully concealed surprise. "Thank you for the warm welcome," Nico said, his voice smooth and controlled. If Olivia hadn't been watching so intently, she might have missed the slight pause when his gaze landed on her. "I'm looking forward to bringing a fresh perspective to Prism's excellent work." As Diana introduced the team, Olivia sank lower in her chair, praying for invisibility. When her turn came, Nico shook her hand professionally, his touch lingering just a heartbeat too long. "Olivia Reed, our senior copywriter," Diana said. "She's the wordsmith behind our most successful campaigns." "Pleasure to meet you, Olivia," Nico said, his eyes betraying amusement. "I look forward to seeing your spontaneous creativity." The meeting dragged on interminably. When it finally ended, Olivia bolted for her office, but Nico caught up with her in the hallway. "Ms. Reed, a moment?" She turned, clutching her tablet like a shield. "Mr. Devereaux." "Interesting introduction the other night," he said quietly, guiding her toward a quiet corner. "You know, most people just say hello. Look, about that, you don't need to explain. Though I am curious why you refused to exchange names." Olivia shifted uncomfortably. It was supposed to be just a moment, no consequences, no awkwardness. "And now here we are, awkwardly discussing the consequences," he said with a hint of a smile. "Life has a strange sense of humor. I'm professional," Olivia insisted. "What happened was completely out of character and won't affect my work." "I never doubted your professionalism." Nico studied her face. "Though I'm intrigued by what is in character for Olivia Reed." Before she could respond, Diana approached. "Nico, I'd like you to see the Luminex proposal. Olivia's been leading the creative. You two will be working closely on this one." As Diana walked away, Nico raised an eyebrow. "It appears fate isn't done with us yet." Over the next week, Olivia tried desperately to maintain normalcy. During brainstorming sessions, she focused intently on her notes whenever Nico spoke, ignoring how his voice affected her. In creative meetings, she kept her comments strictly professional, despite his occasional teasing remarks that only she understood. Jamie cornered her in the break room on Friday. "What's going on with you and the new boss? The tension is thick enough to spread on toast." "Nothing," Olivia replied too quickly. "Just adjusting to a new management style." "Management style? Is that what we're calling it?" Jamie smirked. "He watches you when you're not looking." "He does not," Olivia protested, even as her heart skipped. Later that afternoon, Nico called Olivia into his office to review headlines for the Luminex campaign. As she entered, she noticed the space already transformed, minimalist but with personal touches, including a small sculpture of a dancer in mid-leap. "Beautiful," she commented, nodding toward the sculpture. "My sister's work," he explained. "She's a dancer turned artist." As they worked through the campaign concepts, Olivia gradually relaxed. Nico was insightful, respectful of her ideas while challenging her to push further. Their creative chemistry was undeniable. "Your third concept is strongest," he said, pointing to her draft. "It captures exactly what we need." "Really? I thought it might be too bold." Nico leaned back in his chair. "Bold can be good, as I believe you've demonstrated." Their eyes met, and the office faded away. For a moment, they were back in that crowded bar, strangers sharing an electric connection. The spell broke when Olivia's phone buzzed with a text from Jamie. "Drinks tonight? You can tell me more about that management style." "I should go," Olivia said, gathering her notes. "It's getting late." At the door, she paused. "For what it's worth, I don't normally go around kissing strangers in bars." Nico's smile was genuine. "And I don't normally look forward to Monday morning meetings. I guess we're both breaking new ground." As she walked to the elevator, Olivia felt both dread and anticipation. Working with Nico would be complicated, challenging, and possibly the most exciting professional relationship of her career, if she could keep it professional. Creative tensions. The Luminex campaign deadline loomed just 3 weeks away, forcing Olivia and Nico to spend increasingly long hours together. Their initial awkwardness gradually gave way to a productive rhythm, their different approaches complementing each other perfectly. "Your copy is excellent," Nico said one evening as they reviewed the latest drafts in the empty office. "But I think the visuals need to be more provocative." Olivia rubbed her tired eyes. "Provocative how?" Nico moved to her side of the table, his shoulder brushing against hers as he sketched. "Like this, unexpected juxtapositions that make people look twice." His proximity sent warmth cascading through her body. She focused on his drawing rather than the scent of his cologne or how his rolled-up sleeves revealed strong forearms. "That works," she admitted. "It's bold without being gimmicky." Nico glanced at her, his expression softening. "You surprise me, Olivia Reed." "How so?" "You present yourself as cautious, methodical. But there's this other side to you. Intuitive, daring." His voice lowered. "I'm still trying to reconcile these two versions." "Maybe both are true," she replied, meeting his gaze. "Maybe we all contain contradictions." A charged silence stretched between them. Olivia became acutely aware of how alone they were, how easily she could lean forward and... Her phone rang sharply. It was Zoe, checking when she'd be home for their planned movie night. "I should go," Olivia said, gathering her things. "We've made good progress." The next day, Diana called them both into her office to announce that the Luminex executives wanted a presentation in just 10 days, moving their deadline up by a week. "Can you handle it?" Diana asked. "Absolutely," they answered simultaneously, then exchanged quick smiles. That weekend found them working in Prism's empty office, takeout containers scattered among mock-ups and storyboards. Olivia had traded her usual office attire for jeans and a soft green sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. "Tell me something," Nico said during a break, leaning back in his chair. "Why copywriting?" Olivia considered the question. "I've always believed in the power of words. The right ones at the right moment can change everything." She smiled. "Plus, I get paid to overthink every syllable, which validates my natural tendencies." Nico laughed, the sound warming the quiet space. "Fair enough. What about you? How did you end up in advertising?" "I started in fine arts, actually," he revealed. "Painting, specifically. But I discovered I enjoyed the challenge of creative problem-solving more than pure expression." "Do you still paint?" "Sometimes." His eyes held hers. "When I find the right inspiration." As the day wore on, their conversation flowed naturally between work and personal revelations. Olivia learned about Nico's childhood in Montreal, his passion for jazz, and his rescue dog named Hemingway. In turn, she shared stories about her close-knit family, her college years studying literature, and her dream of writing a novel someday. By evening, exhaustion had made them both punchy, laughing over small mistakes and inside jokes that had developed in just 2 weeks of working together. "We should call it a night," Nico suggested as Olivia stifled a yawn. "You're beginning to approve headlines that make no sense." "They make perfect sense in my sleep-deprived mind," she protested. Outside, rain poured down in sheets. Nico insisted on sharing his umbrella to her car, his hand resting lightly on her back as they navigated puddles. "Thank you," Olivia said when they reached her car. "Not just for the umbrella, for being easy to work with, despite our unusual introduction." "I should be thanking you," he replied, raindrops clinging to his dark hair. "Not many people would handle this situation with such grace." In the dim glow of the streetlight, with rain falling around them, the atmosphere shifted. Nico's eyes dropped to her lips, and Olivia felt herself swaying slightly forward. Her car keys slipped from her fingers, breaking the moment. As they both bent to retrieve them, their hands touched, sending a jolt through Olivia's body. "See you tomorrow," she said quickly, taking the keys. "Tomorrow," Nico agreed, his voice husky. Driving home, Olivia gripped the steering wheel tightly. She was attracted to Nico, undeniably intensely attracted. But office relationships were messy, complicated, potentially disastrous. She'd worked too hard to risk her professional reputation, and yet, when she remembered the look in his eyes as they stood in the rain, she wondered if some risks might be worth taking. Part 4. Crossing Lines. The Luminex presentation was 3 days away, and Prism's office buzzed with nervous energy. For Olivia and Nico, tension mounted on multiple fronts. The looming deadline, the unspoken attraction between them, and now, the office gossip that had begun circulating. "People are talking," Jamie warned Olivia in the break room. "Sophie from accounting saw you two leaving together Saturday night." "We were working late," Olivia explained, feeling heat rise to her cheeks. "Nothing happened." "Maybe nothing should happen," Jamie said gently. "Office relationships are complicated enough without adding a power dynamic." The words stung because they echoed Olivia's own concerns. As she returned to her desk, she found an email from Diana requesting a private meeting that afternoon. Her stomach knotted with anxiety. Diana was direct. "There are rumors about you and Nico." "We've been working closely on Luminex," Olivia began, but Diana raised a hand. "I don't care about office gossip, Olivia. I care about results. But if there's something that could impact the team or the presentation, I need to know." "There's nothing," Olivia assured her, the half-truth bitter on her tongue. "We're professionals." Later, she avoided Nico, burying herself in final revisions. When he finally cornered her in the empty conference room, his expression was concerned. "Did I do something wrong?" he asked. "You've barely spoken to me all day." "Diana called me into her office," Olivia admitted. "People are talking about us." Understanding dawned on his face. "I see. This is exactly what I was afraid of," she continued, pacing. "My work should speak for itself, but now people will question whether any success comes from merit or something else." "Do you really believe that?" Nico challenged. "That people here don't recognize your talent?" "It doesn't matter what I believe. Perception becomes reality." Nico stepped closer. "And what about our reality, Olivia? Are we just going to ignore what's happening between us?" Her heart raced. "Nothing is happening. Nothing can happen. Look me in the eyes and tell me you don't feel this connection." She couldn't. Instead, she gathered her courage and asked the question that had been haunting her. "Why did you take this job?" "You had a successful position in Chicago." Nico hesitated, then sighed. "I needed a change after my engagement ended. Melissa and I worked at the same agency. When things fell apart, it became impossible to stay." The revelation hit Olivia hard. "So you understand why workplace relationships are complicated?" "I understand they're risky," he acknowledged. "But sometimes the biggest regrets come from chances we don't take." Before she could respond, her phone buzzed with an urgent message from the design team. The moment fractured and they returned to work mode, the conversation unfinished. The night before the presentation, they worked past midnight, perfecting every detail. When the last mock-up was approved, they collapsed onto the office sofa, exhausted but satisfied. "We did it," Olivia said, allowing herself to relax for the first time in days. "We make a good team," Nico replied, his voice soft in the quiet office. Without overthinking, Olivia rested her head against his shoulder. "We do," his arm wrapped around her, and for several minutes they sat in comfortable silence, the boundary between colleagues and something more temporarily blurred. "Tell me about her," Olivia finally said. "Your ex-fiancée." Nico tensed slightly, then relaxed. "Melissa was brilliant, driven. We were together for 3 years, engaged for 1. Then she got an offer in London, her dream job. And you didn't want to go?" "I would have followed her anywhere," he said quietly. "But she didn't ask me to. She said she needed to do this on her own, that our relationship had become too comfortable." Olivia heard the lingering pain in his voice. "I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me something important." His fingers gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Life rarely gives you second chances. When something feels right, you should hold on to it." Their eyes met, and this time, neither looked away. Slowly, deliberately, Nico leaned forward. Olivia's breath caught as his lips brushed against hers, tentative at first, then with growing confidence as she responded. Unlike their first impulsive kiss, This one unfolded slowly, deepening as Olivia's hands moved to his shoulders and his arms encircled her waist. Every sensation was heightened. The warmth of his body, the taste of coffee on his lips, the sound of his quickened breath. When they finally pulled apart, reality came rushing back. Olivia stood abruptly. "We shouldn't have done that," she whispered, though her body disagreed vehemently. "Olivia, the presentation is tomorrow. We need to be focused." She gathered her things with trembling hands. This was a mistake. As she fled to the elevator, Nico didn't follow. But the memory of his kiss followed her home, lingered as she tossed sleeplessly in bed, and remained as she dressed for the most important presentation of her career, one she would have to deliver alongside the man who had thoroughly complicated her carefully ordered life. Honest Foundations. The Luminex executives loved the presentation. Diana was ecstatic, the team celebrated, and Olivia should have been elated. Instead, she felt hollow as she watched Nico accept congratulations, their professional facade firmly in place. For a week after their kiss, they maintained a careful distance, cordial in meetings, brief in email exchanges, never alone together. The office gossip gradually subsided as people found new topics to discuss, but the tension between them remained palpable and unresolved. Late Friday afternoon, as Olivia prepared to leave for the weekend, Diana stopped by her office. "The Luminex campaign launches next week," she said. "They've requested you and Nico oversee the final implementation personally." Olivia's stomach dropped. "Both of us? Is that a problem?" Diana asked, studying her closely. "No," Olivia said quickly. "No problem at all." After Diana left, Olivia sat at her desk, emotions warring within her. Part of her wanted to run from the complications Nico represented. Another part ached for what might have been. A gentle knock interrupted her thoughts. Nico stood in her doorway, looking as conflicted as she felt. "I heard about Luminex," he said. "We need to talk, Olivia." "Not here, not now, but soon." She nodded, unable to find words. "Central Park tomorrow morning, by the Bethesda fountain, 9 o'clock. "Okay," she agreed softly. Saturday dawned clear and crisp. Olivia dressed carefully in jeans and a soft blue sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. As she approached the fountain, she spotted Nico already waiting, watching the water. "Thank you for coming," he said when she reached him. They walked in silence for a while, fallen leaves crunching beneath their feet. "I've been thinking about us," Nico finally began. "About what happened, and what didn't happen, and what could happen." "So have I," Olivia admitted. "When I came to New York, I wasn't looking for a relationship. After Melissa, I thought I needed time alone to focus on my career." He stopped walking, turning to face her. "And then a beautiful woman kissed me in a bar, and nothing has been the same since." Olivia's heart raced. "Nico, let me finish," he said gently. "I understand your concerns. The professional complications, the office politics, the risk to your reputation. They're all valid, but," she prompted, hearing the unspoken word. "But I can't stop thinking about you," he confessed. "About your laugh, your mind, the way you scrunch your nose when you're concentrating. I've tried to be professional to keep my distance, but I'm failing spectacularly." The raw honesty in his voice moved her. "I've been trying too," she admitted, "and failing just as badly." They resumed walking, closer now, their hands occasionally brushing. "So where does that leave us?" Nico asked. Olivia considered the question carefully. "I don't know. I've always been cautious, planned everything. This, us, doesn't fit into any plan." "Maybe that's not a bad thing," he suggested. "Maybe we both need something unexpected." They reached a quiet bench overlooking the lake. As they sat, Olivia gathered her courage. "I'm scared," she confessed. "Not just of workplace complications, but of how strongly I feel." "It doesn't make sense. We barely know each other." "Then let's change that," Nico said, taking her hand. "No games, no hiding. Just honesty. What about work? We'll be professional at the office. If this becomes serious, one of us might need to make changes eventually, but we don't have to solve everything today." The simplicity of his approach calmed her racing thoughts. Perhaps she had been overthinking as usual. "I have a confession," she said. That night at the bar, it wasn't just a random choice. I saw you earlier and something about you caught my attention. The dare just gave me an excuse, Nico smiled. I have a confession, too. I saw you the moment you walked in with your friends. I was working up the courage to approach you when suddenly you were there kissing me. Olivia laughed, the tension finally breaking. So we've been circling each other from the beginning. It seems that way, he agreed, his eyes warm. As the morning sun glinted off the lake, Olivia made a decision. For once in her methodical life, she would embrace uncertainty. I'd like to try, she said softly. Us, I mean. Slowly, carefully, but honestly. Nico's smile widened. That sounds perfect. This time, when he leaned toward her, Olivia met him halfway. Their kiss was neither impulsive like the first nor charged like the second, but something new, tender, unhurried, full of promise. When they finally parted, Olivia felt a sense of rightness she hadn't expected. So what now? She asked. Now, Nico said, standing and offering his hand, I think we have a proper first date. No dares, no work deadlines, just us getting to know each other. As they walked hand in hand through the autumn park, Olivia reflected on the strange path that had led them here. An impulsive kiss, an unexpected collision, weeks of tension and uncertainty, all building to this new beginning. She didn't know where their relationship would lead, what challenges they might face, or how they would navigate the complexities ahead. For once, that uncertainty didn't frighten her. Sometimes the best stories began with unexpected chapters, and Olivia was finally ready to let hers unfold.